Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and what are you up to. Welcome to a new vlog. Today is what? Does it matter anymore? It's been a week since the last vlog and the frequency has come down a bit, mostly because we're staying home, there's not much to do or show. And the last 10 days I've been actually busy trading stocks. It was a roller coaster ride, man. Like, there were great days and yesterday was one of those terrible days, but I want to get that back and I'll tell you guys then how much I lost it. But it was a good lesson and it was a good experience because there was a point in the day where I transitioned from doing proper scientific technical analysis to literally gambling. The gambling part was mostly emotional because I had some losses. I want to recuperate that, and in that sense I made some decisions which were so bad, but my calls in the morning were pretty good. All my losses were because of me being emotional, and all the positives or the profits that I got was when I did some technical and scientific analysis. In that sense, I now know what to do and what not to do, but it took a costly experience to get to that point. Let me get that money back and then I'll let you guys know if this thing really works or if I'm a bad trader. But this was the intention of the experiment. I was prepared to lose this money and hence I got into it. I'll probably update you guys by mid-May because that would be a good time to understand how well it's happening. Anyway, enough of financial investments and guidance and all that. This channel is not meant for that. This channel is all about motorcycles. So let's get back to that. I started Q&A early this week on Instagram. So if you're new to this channel, check out the previous videos and subscribe. If you're already a subscriber but you haven't followed me on Instagram, there's the link, because I've sent a Q&A where I interact with my subscribers. And a lot of questions were sourced on which is a better bike in this budget, in this class, in this segment. That is actually a question even for me because as you all know, I've sold my Street Twin and maybe in the future I'll buy a bike. I have a certain budget in mind, let's say 10 to 12 lakhs. I want to know which is the best bike within that segment. So let's see how one can make a decision about picking a bike with a certain budget in mind. That's the topic of today. But before that, I want to show you guys my bike's lying there under the cover. This whole thing feels like it's in a lockdown, like in a jail. Let me actually take it out. It's actually safe in my colony because during this time of the day, not many people come out, and I can take it out for a short spin. 5 to 10 minutes of engine warm up, that's good. And it's been a while since I rode, so let's go do it. Hey guys, so time to take this bike out for a short spin in the colony. Whenever you take the bike off, just understand these are the few things that you need to keep in mind. I learned this from other riders, and if you're new to ATVs, they're heavy, so you need to keep that in mind. So put it in gear. Like, I couldn't put it in one, so I kept it in second, and then put the side stand on and just see, even without the side stand it doesn't move forward, and then just drop it. The reason I'm in sandals and shorts, it's just a short run. I'm just wearing the helmet. I'm going at less than 20, so I don't need any gear because I'm not doing any stunts. It's just a typical ride. So let's go. Man, been ages since I had this view. I'll just go out of the house and then start because it gets too loud with these mountain stones. The reverberations are much higher. If I get like a big bike, like let's say 1250 GS, it wouldn't probably fit here. This is a 1000 mm width entry point, so maybe the engines would come, but it will be tight. So I have to break this door. Okay, let's start. It starts in the first crank, man. The reason you climb these bikes like that is because these are taller. The seat height of this bike is almost 860 mm. It's one of the tallest ATVs out there. As you can see, I can just touch my feet. So I'll just wait for a minute. During this time I can actually show you the TFT. Mind the reflections, but that is the home screen. You have a rev indicator, a speedo, gear indicator, temperature, and if the automatic DRLs are on or off. the riding mode indicator. This has 4 riding modes. The switch that is used to unlock the 4th riding mode, which is Enduro Pro, and a short display to quickly get some information. You have the fuel range, the total odometer reading, 2 trip meters, 2 average fuel consumption meters, the brake times for the 2 trips, and you have the average speed, cruising speed I guess, and the range to empty. And then once you go down here, as it's intuitively indicated, so I use the menu buttons to go down or up, and this is a jog dial. I don't know the name of this, but it has movements of left and right. So those are the only 3 movements. So once here, you can use the jog dial to go left, right, to check the other menus, navigation, media, telephone, settings. Within each of these there are subsections. So let's go to my vehicle. So that's the temperature right now, which is 68 degrees. I usually wait till it gets to 75. That's the range to empty, and then that's the battery charging capacity right now, decently good. And then this is the onboard computer to check the overall odo. You can reset it for your particular trip. So the current is what when I last reset this. The brake time is pointless because that's the time since I did the last reset. And then you have trip 1. So this gets reset every time you turn on and off the bike. It's been 7 minutes since I turned on the ignition. And then you have the service indicator. The next service is due in September, or 4,788 kilometers, whichever comes first. And then nothing more here. If you have anything more within that menu, you'll get this indicator. The automatic reset is turned on, so it resets automatically every time the ignition is on. And then let's go back here. So there are multiple options here. I don't want to go through that and bore you guys, but that's it for the TFT. I think it's one of the nicest, largest, intuitive and easy to use TFTs out there. I've added a TFT screen protector here. That's the reason it's much more reflective. Otherwise it's matte finish. You can change the ABS, suspension and traction control settings here. So if I want to quickly change the traction control, it's off. Both the ABS and traction control are off now. If I want to keep them back on, I just hold this button up for a while. Longer for ABS, shorter for traction control. So now both are on by default. And if you want to change the suspension settings, you have based on the riding modes, you can change the suspension, the preload too. So you can change it to road, dynamic. These are the only 2 options. But if I want to change the suspension, I just hold it for a second. You get the rider with luggage, 2 riders, 1 rider plus luggage. So it doesn't have 2 riders plus luggage, which I think is a miss. So we'll just put this in dynamic and 1 rider for now. And let's see the temperature now. The temperature is 86. That's good to go. So let's go. Man, this feels so nice to be back on the bike. I've been reading up some stuff about counter steering. I don't know if I can show it to you at these speeds because you need to be at a higher speed to show that. But anyway, it was an interesting topic to research about. Used mostly in racing events, but it's a good technique to learn. It's been almost 2 weeks since I started this bike, so I just wanted to start it, take it around for a short stretch for 5 minutes just to make sure all the mechanicals and electricals are working fine, and they seem to be. So let's go here to the right. You probably had a tour of my colony so far, so there's nothing much here to show. So this is the tennis court, and this is the badminton court that I used to come so regularly after during my engineering days. Oh man, feels so good to be back on the bike, out in the sun. Can't wait to get out and ride with my guys. It's been so long. So the way counter steering works is whenever you want to go left or right, you push the handlebar on the opposite side. and there is a scientific explanation why that works. I'll show you when I get a decent stretch actually. Nice to see they're cleaning the colony too at this time. I just hope Hyderabad, at least my area, turns into green zone so people can come out. That exhaust note. So whenever I'm doing turns, right, I just turn the handlebar inwards and outwards. When I'm pushing, it's the opposite. See, I pushed it and how the bike's turning to the right. Anyway, let's not do many stunts here and get scared or fall because I don't have any riding gear. This was just a short ride, so except helmet I didn't wear anything. I can do that turn much shorter in radius if I stand up and push my left knee into the bike. It's just that I'm still not confident about it and I need to learn few things. All the brakes are working fine. And let's watch for traffic because people can go fast. Let's watch for traffic here and do a short turn here. Nah, the turn didn't work. Let's try here. I'm gonna go wide. Yeah, it works. I think that should be it for today on the bike, because let's see the temperature. Temperature's almost 92, so I'll just go one more round and then get back home. So let's get to the topic of the day. How do you select a bike when you have a budget in mind? You have a lot of bikes under that budget, and for instance, I've already owned a classic version, the Triumph Street Twin. I have an ADV, the BMW F850 GS. So I want to look at something different. Maybe something like a Street Naked or something entirely unique like the Ducati Hypermotard. And the main purpose of this bike for me is to just have fun in the city for maybe half an hour, 1 hour when there is little traffic, go to those cafes, meet my friends, come back home, have the best ride for that point. I think super sports won't be the best in that purpose because they're too aggressive and I'm not a big fan of it yet. This could change in the future, but for now, for the next 2-3 years, I don't think I'll buy a super sport. So some of the bikes that I looked at are KTM Duke 890R, not the 790. I've looked at the 790, but knowing that 890 Duke R is coming with much better specs, I'll probably wait for that. I have the Triumph Street Triple RS. Interesting bike, but I already own Triumph. I want to try something different. And then you have the Kawasaki Z900. Lovely, smooth, reliable engine, but probably not the most technologically advanced version compared to the other bikes. And then you have the Ducati Hypermotard. I've experienced that engine when I test drove the Multistrada 950. Nice engine, but it's more to do with the ergonomics and the style and the design of the bike. It probably has a different character to the Multistrada 950 because it weighs less, it's much more flickable. So these are the 4 bikes that I have in mind. Would love to know if you have any other suggestions under my consideration, under the criteria that I mentioned. It shouldn't be a classic, it shouldn't be an ADV, it shouldn't be a super sport. So under somewhere between 8 to 12 lakhs is the budget. Within these 4 bikes, the way I would go about it is, first I would calculate the budget in terms of how much it will cost me to own it for 3 to 5 years, including service, maintenance, spares. And then the second point would be how much I enjoyed the test drive. A lot of people, including my friends like Rohit and Srujan, they haven't test driven most of their bikes, but they bought it because they know enough of it, they have that confidence, and they just bought it and they've been happy with it. But in my case, I just always wanted test drive because that's how I purchased the Street Twin, the 850. I just love them instantly when I test drove them, and I think test drive makes a big difference in the sense that you might not like a bike initially, but then after test drive you might fall in love. It has that much of an impact because you'll ride these bikes throughout. So in that sense, if you don't test drive and get an experience of how it is, I don't see a point of buying it. And then third point would be, where is the bike in its product life cycle? If we didn't have the whole BS4, BS6 fiasco, and let's say we have the Duke 790 and you know that the 890 is coming in a year or so, I would probably just wait because that's a better bike. Unless you're getting a great deal here. In fact, I was getting a great deal on the 790, but then I didn't have the test drive, and in one way I'm happy I didn't buy the 790 because 890 is so much better. I just wish the budget on that, if it hits the spot, I'll be the first one to get it in Hyderabad, trust me, maybe in India too. So that's how I would go about purchasing my bike. Follow those 3 points to the dot and you'd be good. Some of the questions that I got in the Q&A sessions were, what's the best bike under 3 lakhs? What do you think of XYZ bike? So just to give you guys an idea, we're in lockdown, we haven't tested driven many bikes. We drove only the bikes that we had. So in that sense, we don't have much opinion. All we see is the YouTube reviews or those good old blogs where people write. I love reading and writing. In fact, that's a much better way of understanding a lot more about a vehicle, because whenever they write, they mention a lot more than what you see in the videos. So go read about them. And in that sense, if your budget is 3 lakhs, the best bike in that category is the 390 Adventure. It's not under 3 lakhs, but I would say stretch your budget by maybe 50,000, because that's a versatile bike. It can be a great bike on highways while touring. When you get those bad patches, may not be that great off-roading, but it will handle bad roads much better than, let's say, a Dominar 400 or a Duke 390. So in that sense, it's a much better all-in-one bike compared to the other ones I mentioned now. So that's my pick, around 3 to 3.5 lakhs. If your budget is around 6.5 lakhs, there are quite a few options like the Ninja 650 versus 650, the Triumphs, Classics. You don't have any Ducatis or BMWs in that, and you have the Harleys, but let's not talk about Harleys because that's... Within these bikes, the way I would go about it is mind the noise downstairs, just my mom doing something. But I don't see the purpose of buying a 650cc bike, because when you can get great bikes around 300 to 400cc, which are almost 80% as capable as the 650cc bikes, which would give you good fun in the first 1 year, but after 1-2 years you'll grow over them, in the sense that you'd feel like, I've got used to this power, I want more. And in that sense, you would probably yearn for that 800cc or 900cc bike. Maybe better off to buy a 390 Adventure and save the money, invest, earn, and then probably use that money to buy a better bike 5 years down the line. Or don't buy a bike, save this budget, buy something in the next 2-3 years when you hit that point where you think you're comfortable owning a 10 to 12 lakh bike. 650cc don't make that much sense to me. But if you're insistent, that's what your parents want you to buy within that budget right now, immediately, then I would say look at used bikes with less miles on it. Like let's say a Tiger 800 with only 15,000 miles on it would be an amazing buy around 8 lakhs if you can get it. So that's where you can be a little flexible. But at the end of the day, buying a used bike is much tougher. But if you can do it, there can be good bikes out there. That's a risk you are taking. So that it will last that much longer than, let's say, 650cc bike. I'm not saying they won't last long, but it's just that you'll get bored. You'll overgrow those bikes much faster. So that's how I would pick my choice of bikes within a certain budget. I hope this video is useful. Let me know what you think about it. And thanks for watching, guys. If you're seeing this in the night time, have a good night and see you in the next week. So stay home, stay safe, take care. Bye-bye.